All right, so in this last video, I just want to go through some CSS animation libraries. And so there's a link here if you want to visit this, csstricks.com. And if you go to CSS-animation-libraries, essentially just go to this URL. It's going to take you to a site that looks like this here. And essentially these are a bunch of different libraries that people have created for us to use. And so we don't have to actually code out all the keyframes or try to figure it all out ourselves. We can start from a place where there's an already provided CSS style sheet. And so here's just a few that you can play around with. And let me just go do a demonstration of one. The one I like to use often is one called Animate.css. I'll just right click, open it up in a new tab here. And essentially this, all it is just really is just an external CSS file. So if I were to scroll down, it's on a CDN, a content delivery network, and I'll just show you it's nothing but just CSS. So if I paste this in, it's going to take me to a site or a web page here that shows me all the CSS. Now it's all jumbled up so you can't see it, but essentially it's just a bunch of different style rules and they have a bunch of different keyframes, right? So if somebody has took the hard work to basically go and create some keyframes on our behalf, and so you can get these various effects. So here's a pulse, right? Here's a flash, here's a bounce, right? Here's a swing, and you can readily use those in your design. So what's the process of using this CSS library? One, there's a couple different ways that they show you in for how you can install it. The one that we're going to use here is just using the link tag, and we're going to place that in the head of our document. I'm going to use a coding playground called LiveWeave. If you go to liveweave.com, I've already created a playground. It's just another playground that you can use. The one thing I like about LiveWeave is that it actually gives you that HTML document structure. And so you have the head, the body, right? Within the head, you have the title tag. And then here's going to be where my link tag goes. I'm going to paste that in, and just so that it looks somewhat normal or what we're used to seeing here, I'll just create some space and just move this over here like that, right? Again, we're just basically putting a link tag in the head of our website and just doing a quick demonstration of how you can actually use one of these libraries in your design. So if you did want to use this, right, go ahead and bring that link tag in. It's going to point to this CSS file that's sitting on a server somewhere in the world. The next step here is that we have to use a series of classes to bring in the functionality or the animation to our element. So I'm going to copy this H1. I'm going to paste that here in the body of my website. Right. And if you saw it to the right here, you'll see a brief animation of what just happened here. So if I change my code, you'll see it happen here. It's going to save and it's going to run that animation. And that's really it, right? You bring in that external CSS file, and then you can use these various classes. So what you're seeing here on line 9 is two classes. One is called animate_animated, and another class is called animate_bounce. And so if we wanted to change out the type of animation, we can go and basically locate the class name that we want to bring in and basically plug it in to get that particular animation. Now there's some other what we call utility classes that we can add. So if we wanted to use a delay, right, we can delay it by adding an additional class called animate_delay. You can say -2 seconds, -3 seconds. If you wanted to speed up the animation, you can bring in another class here that says animate faster or animate slower, right? And essentially just basically chaining on or bringing in multiple classes to get the desired look and feel of your animation. Here, you can do a repeat. So you can use this animate_repeat. So we'll copy that and we can add that to our class here. And so it'll happen twice. And if we change this here to, let's say, to 4, right? This will occur 4 times. 1. Is there a 4 or is there a 3? 1, 2, 3. Okay, is there a 4? 1. I guess it's not. So it only goes up to 3 here. But I think there's one where you can do an animation where it can last for infinitely. So I think it's animate infinite. And so if you change that and add that class, right? Instead of doing just 3, you can just do it infinitely. And it'll continue to do that until you close the browser. Like I said, there's other classes you can bring in. And so If you go up here, right, you can do Jello, right? So if we were to go, I think you just basically could change this and say, I'm just going to take a quick guess and say Jello. Would that work? Yeah. And so there's the Jello one here. Or you can just say wobble. So if I go back, I can go in and say wobble, right? And this is basically just animate infinitely. So essentially here I have three classes. I have to use this. This is the default to actually bring in the animation, some of the default CSS. And then here's the specific animation that you're bringing in. And then here's just a utility class that I can do infinitely. And I can continually add on a number of utility classes. So that's just one example of a library. I would invite you to go to this URL. There's a series of libraries that they've put here that you can take a look at. Some are pretty cool, where you can readily bring in some already animated CSS keyframes that people have already created. If you like the look and feel of that animation, all you have to do is basically include that library and then begin to target your elements, and then that would actually add the CSS that will animate that particular element that you're targeting. So like I said, a short video, just basically adding the animation library. Feel free to play around with that, and that's going to end this video series. Take care.